Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Doomed Productions podcast, a podcast hosted by Doomed Productions. I am Jordan,
And I'm Ethan.
and we are filmmakers on the YouTube channel Doomed Productions. This is our podcast where we sit down and we talk about all things relating to films, filmmaking, watching movies, moral questions that come up when it comes to watching movies.
So many things.
So many things. It's really you just sitting in on us, sitting down and just talking movies, as if you're going out to eat with us or as if we're just sitting around in the living room.
This is more or less how we have our conversations anyway. You're peering in on you're behind the curtain right now.
Exactly. Assuming that, I'm assuming everyone who's listening to this, you follow our YouTube channel. Hopefully you like our stuff, or at least like us personally.
You care enough to listen to us ramble,
Yeah.
so that says something.
So you've gotten to know us. Now come get to know us a little, our better tastes, our
Yeah.
movie tastes and what we're watching, or our ideas on movies. Today is the first episode.
This is like season 2, I guess.
Season 2, I guess. Yeah, we've been doing the podcast since September of 2021,
Got a good run, a good trial, I guess, testing it out.
and now we are kind of hitting the ground running with 2022. I can't really think of a better way to start off the year than just talking about reflecting. We had a video this week where we reflected on our experiences of 2021. So what better way to start the podcast with reflecting the movies we saw in 2021. So
Yeah.
today we're talking about our favorites of 2021, favorite movies. Maybe some other things might come up too, but that's where we're going to start off with. And I don't know if we should just, I think this is obvious if you know us.
Yeah.
Let's just address the elephant in the room
I was
right
going to
away.
say.
If you're waiting till the very end, if you want to skip to the end thinking, oh my gosh, I just want to hear what their favorite movie of the year was, you don't have to.
We're going to talk about it right out the gate.
Right here. Because we share this. I think probably in our top 2 are probably the same.
We don't shut up about this.
No. Our favorite movie of the year was the global phenomenon. That was Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I can't remember how in depth we've talked about why we like the movie. But
We're Zack Snyder stans.
Zack Snyder stands. Yeah, we are huge fans of him. I think. Well, okay, this wasn't just a movie that came out and blew us away.
No. And
This
to be
is
clear,
different.
yeah, no, we've been following we're both big comic book movie fans. We've enjoyed it. We've stuck with the genre for a long time. I remember seeing Iron Man 1 when it first came out in theaters, and as a kid being like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. So we're big comic book fans, but DC just hits different.
Yeah.
I think we can say that for us, our personal taste, we love DC.
And I think going back further, I think I have Superman symbol tattooed on my wrist.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, it's right here. It's all glisten. No, it's not glistening. It's just there. Superman to me is a character. He's my favorite comic book character. He's my favorite superhero of all time. He was the first one. I think he's the best one. I think he's the most relatable out of all the superheroes. And
Yeah.
not because he's literally relatable. A lot of people say Superman, oh, he's an alien. He's too perfect.
He's too good. He's got all the powers. He's invincible.
I think that's a really bad misreading of the character. I think you can't look at the character literally because you have to look at him symbolically and mythologically and what he represents. Sure, Spider-Man, he's literally relatable because he's poor,
He can't get his life together.
can't get his life together. He's always got some Spider-Man duty interfering with his life. I think a lot of people connect to that and relate to that. And they relate to the darkness in Batman. But I think when they see Superman, they just look at this muscly, perfect person. Boy Scout, always doing what's right, always fighting the bad guys. But what he represents, Superman's just like you and me. He's just like your dad. He's like your mom. He is a kid
from Kansas.
Kid from Kansas. But what his monsters and the people his struggle is to do the right thing. His struggle is to fight these metaphorical demons off. His struggle is mythological, and it doesn't literally apply to us, but it metaphorically applies to us. We don't wake up every day and have to worry about catching the train to work or catching the bus to work. Stopping let me back up. We don't wake up every day and have to worry about a a monster racing through the city, destroying and killing people. We have to wake up and worry about catching the bus to work, or like stopping one of our friends from making a bad mistake. We don't have to worry about like
Brainiac coming in and frying Earth.
we don't have to worry about General Zod coming up and attacking the city. But there are people in America who have to fight against stereotypes and what they represent. And so when humans look up and they see Zod, they see someone like Superman. And it's a struggle of identity and expectations of you and the kind of individual struggles that you have with identity. Superman's a character, because he's so grand, because he's so big and mythic, he can apply to everyone, because these monsters are not literal. They are metaphorical for the struggles we all experience in life. And what Superman shows us is that if he can do it, so can you. Superman's struggle is not that, oh, bullets can't hurt him. It's that, oh no, those bullets might bounce off and hit someone else. Oh no, if I overreact, I might accidentally destroy a building. How am I going to live how do you live a good life? How do you become a good person? Which is what these myths and religions, they're meant for us, is to teach us how to live a good life. Huge tangent. What Zack Snyder's films have done, his Superman saga. I mean, we've always been Zack Snyder fans.
We've been there.
But specifically with his Superman trilogy, or I guess Justice League DC pentology is supposed to be
what it would have been.
What it would have been. You see that in Clark in Man of Steel. It's this journey of this guy struggling with his personal identity. It's something that a lot of people just weren't used to seeing Superman struggle so much. And that came out at a time when we were in high school. We were young men at the time, trying to figure out who we were. Yeah. Trying to figure out, what it means to be a good person and live a good life. And that's what Clark's going through. And of course, I don't relate to General Zod coming down and, attacking everybody. But we can relate to experiences where we have to struggle with our own identity and what it means to, just be ourselves, or what kind of a man are you supposed to be? We can relate to that. We can relate to Batman v Superman, where people project their ideas onto this individual and have these unrealistic expectations of him. And anything he does is super
scrutinized and magnified.
And they all have all these perceptions. And, looking at all the negativity that it was pointed at him. And he still chose to help people. The people who were...
turn their back on him, were kind of blasting him in the media. He still chose to help those people and give his life for that. And what that movie, that was just a continuation of, that came out when we were in college, I think. Yeah, that would have been 2016. We were in college.
Again, hitting us at the right time in our lives, where we're trying to figure out...
You're a part of the world. You're becoming a working member of society. You got to figure out what your place in the world is.
Yes.
You can be all these things or none of them.
Yep.
As Martha Kent elegantly puts it.
Exactly. What kind of man are you going to be? What kind of person are you going to grow up to be? How are you going to deal with these horrible situations? So much in our personal lives, so much has changed since
2016. The world is a different place.
The world, but just personally, us, like our lives do not look the same.
No.
5 years ago, or I guess, when did Man of Steel come out? 2013.
24. No,
so that was 8 years
2013.
Ago.
Yeah.
Like 8 years ago. Oh no.
I would. Oh, gosh, we're bad. I can't think
so
off the top of my head.
Yes.
Oh,
9 years.
It's been a while.
Almost 9 years. These movies have stayed with us, and so when Justice League was going to come out. 2017, we were like, oh boy, what's this going to look like?
Yeah.
Obviously, you've seen the movie. It is very different than what Zack Snyder's movies typically look like. It's completely different, in fact.
Yeah.
And that bothered us as fans of his work. If you like it, more power to you. Yeah. But if you're a fan, if you're hardcore dedicated, and those movies have a big impact on your personal life, when you see something that looks like a Joss Whedon movie, that's gonna like ripping the rug out right from under you. That's like you're running a cartoon running, and then you look down and there's nothing underneath, and you just plunge. Yeah. And you fall down the rabbit hole of what happened, and the tragedy that happened with his daughter, the studio meddling, the abuse that was going on during the reshoots. the struggle, the fight. I mean, that movement, Release the Snyder Cut, that's why I joined Twitter, was specifically to connect with other like-minded folks who wanted that version of the cut. And I met some great friends on that website. And so from 2017 to 2021, that journey of like disappointment, just loss, just every time you talked about it, people would like be very dismissive and dismiss the idea of it or the existence of it, saying, "Oh, he's a garbage filmmaker. He shouldn't."
Snyder,
saying horrible things like about his daughter who was deceased and all these personal tragedies. You couldn't help but root for the guy. Yes, he was $1 million director, but again, we've said this before. We share a bond with every director, every single director, and the characters.
Oh yeah, no, I see where you're going with it.
and Zack Snyder himself. Like you can't help but feel bad for the guy when like a personal family tragedy comes up.
Yeah,
like
that's beyond that is
like having a family member pass away while you're making a movie, and then the studio takes it and turns, chops up your movie and adds new things. Like
that's personal to us.
That's personal to us. Yes.
That's so like beyond all the archetypal DC stuff. That's just that is a human thing. That is a human tragedy. That like man, that hits.
As an
doesn't
artist,
matter who.
As an artist, I would hate it for someone to take my movie and chop it up after a family tragedy. That'd be awful. And so getting 2021 and finally seeing the movie, not only is a movie that delivered on everything that was kind of promised, everything that we're personally interested, aesthetic-wise, and just how Zach tells his movies, it was an event. It was a huge event for us.
It was awesome.
Personal and movie-wise. I mean, I bought a new TV for it. I bought a bunch of snacks for it. It was incredible. And seeing that movie, like, just for the first time, and on repeat that whole weekend when it came out, was just...
There are shots of video carnage where the light is kind of moving on Jordan when he's in his room. And the reason the light is moving is because that's Zack Snyder's Justice League partially lighting the scene for us.
It was, that movie was always on in my room, just like on repeat, because I just wanted to watch it all the bunch. I wanted to dissect it. I wanted to look at it. I couldn't believe that we got it. Yeah. There's never been a build up to a movie where I've been more hyped.
Yeah.
It's just been such an emotional roller coaster, that journey. And I mean, I think his thesis that he started with, kind of the Man of Steel, like the arc of the Superman character, his personal journey, and what it, like the Justice League forming from these broken individuals, that is moving to me. And that is like, I think he did an excellent job kind of crafting this superhero team-up movie, which could have just been like a bam, kick, wow, just kind of like cool for the sake of cool. But I think there's a real heart of the movie of personal journeys and people struggling. And again, there's struggles representing struggles that we all go through in life, where it's not necessarily literal, it's, metaphorical. And anything you want to add on that?
No, I think that summed it up really good.
Okay, because that was, what was that? How long was that? 10 minutes. Okay, now that we're 10 minutes in, or however long you're in.
Part 1.
That's the last we'll say about Justice League. Well, for now, for this episode. That is why it was our favorite movie of the year.
Yes.
I mean,
looked forward to with great anticipation.
And it did not fail.
No.
It delivered.
It delivered on everything that was promised and more.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
A phenomenal film. We recommend check it out if you haven't seen it.
If you haven't heard of this little movie.
This little movie called Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh, boy.
It might be worth your time.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Well,
on a related note, I saw a TikTok. I think I sent it to you and Zach. Did you see it?
Which, can you just remind me?
It's this person talking about the struggle of being a superhero movie fan, but also a film buff. Film buff.
Yes.
Because you're constantly torn between the two groups of like.
Because I mean, we were in film classes in school, and you went to film school. I did film studies stuff, and man, if you stuck your neck out for some of these movies, you would get eaten alive.
It's because it's the struggle of being surrounded by people who all they watch is Marvel movies, but then at the same time, people who they think all superhero movies are trash, and you're in the middle where you enjoy both, where you see pros and cons to each side, and it's like, it's not this black and white. There's some more nuance in this.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It's a whole thing.
I think about that a lot. So, anyways,
Be kind to each other's film tastes.
Yeah.
That's all.
this is just our taste. We're not saying like these are the greatest movies ever. This is what we personally.
Nothing
enjoy
is
the most.
definitive. Everything is subjective when it comes to film and art.
Yes.
It's all good in the hood.
Anyways, I think our number twos are probably the same. If I had to guess, what do you?
I'm not even ranking these. I'm like going just kind of. I'm just looking at my order.
All
but
I have is like two, like the top two for sure.
favorite films of the year. Yeah. I mean, let's say it at the count of three.
Okay,
Three, two, one. Green Knight.
Yep.
Hey.
We got it.
That would have been really embarrassing if we didn't. I mean, it would have been good controversy. Ooh, they disagree. But no, it was a Green Knight. No, Green Knight.
I talk too much about it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not just
yeah.
saying that you talk about Green Knight.
We'll tag team it, I know. But I mean, Green Knight's one of those movies. I mean, we both really enjoy A24 stuff. They make really cool, exciting movies. It's definitely up our alley in terms of taste and style and the vibe of an A24 film. We're always excited when they come out. But then the trailer for The Green Knight comes out, and medieval is a sweet thing to make a movie on, and I love that kind of stuff. The kind of the King Arthur storytelling style, and I did some we both like kind of read some of the stories and of like, you know, Sir Gawain and these kind of things. So it was exciting to have the build up for that movie. Little did we know that we'd get into this theater, and we saw this separately, but it is such a Doom Productions vibe.
Yeah.
The color use, there are certain shots in it where I'd be like, that's us. I would, if you talk to my girlfriend, we saw the movie together. There were so many moments where I would just be sitting there watching it in a shot, having to be like, just over and over. I was probably obnoxious. She probably hated it, but it's just a cool. I'm so bad at talking about movies too.
Well, it's a movie that we thought that like, it's like, hey, that's us.
Yeah.
Like, as a filmmaker, we're like, David Lowery, you did. That's something like. There's a lot of tricks he does in there that...
There's a lot of stuff that remind me of particularly our short film, Doom on the Doorstep. There's a lot of color changes, a lot of use of light that felt very familiar. Like there'd be times where they'd switch colors, or like a red light would come on, or it just felt very much like a part of our DNA was shown on screen. We're like, yes, I connect with this movie, not just story-wise, but like the production, the aesthetic, the directing. It felt very us, and so we felt at home watching it.
Yeah, that's a movie. It's a great Christmas watch too.
Yeah,
because I got it before Christmas, but I held off on rewatching it until winter break because I was like, this is a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
I think. Great story, great kind of. I love the ambiguity in it and the interpretations. Should we go spoilers? Sure. If you haven't seen The Green Knight, you might want to jump ahead. But at the end, well, I guess I'll just ask, if you know what we're talking about, there's a kind of a question of what happens to Sir Gawain at the very end. What do you think happened?
Well, I know what I thought at the time, and I know what happened since we've talked about it.
Oh, okay.
At the time, I read one of the stories. I don't know if I particularly read the Green Knight story in high school, so I didn't remember. And I didn't look it up ahead of time. At the time, I thought, probably as anyone did, like, oh, he died. But that is not the case, I know, from the story now.
Well, the film is ambiguous. The story is not.
Yeah.
So when you look at the movie, have you rewatched it since?
I haven't.
Okay.
So I'm probably not the right person to ask. Even though it's my favorite film, one of my favorite films of the year, I haven't rewatched it. Watched Justice League many times.
Yeah. Because the end, it's people think, oh, he dies or he lives, and I think, for me, I think that he lives.
I do too, but
well,
but also I should rewatch it. But again, I know based on the story.
Yeah, because if you haven't read the original story, in the original story, what happens is Gawain goes to the knight, he puts his head down, and then the knight gives him a little cut on the neck, and he says he kind of does an exposition dump on him there, but then he's like, yeah, so because your cut barely hurt me, I'm going to give you a little nick on the neck, and that's kind of like
It's equal.
It's equal. So I knew in the story that he doesn't die, but if you look at the movie, I feel like from a narrative point of view, the whole movie, there's people who think, well, maybe this is all up to people's interpretations. There's one reading of the movie where people are they believe that the movie is about learning how to deal with death and dealing with, mortality, and something's, that death is creeping up on you. Everyone's going to die. So how do you deal with that? I feel like the movie makes a stronger case that it's actually about how to live, like similar to Superman. It's more about
living honestly.
How do you live a good life?
What's it? Chivalry.
He lives the movie having these tests of,
morality,
are you going to be tested morality? How are you going to live? What should a knight do? What should a good person do? What would a bad person do? In the beginning, he was so focused on his legacy and just being great. Whatever that means. What does that mean to be great? And I mean, there's that moment later when he sees the giants, and he's like, "Can you carry me?" Oh, he literally wants to stand on the shoulders of giants. Like, he cares more about his legacy than it does about being a good person. So by the end of it, I think he learns how to be a good person. And I think that it would make more sense to me. If I was a filmmaker, if I was a storyteller, I wouldn't spend 2 hours or so having a character learn how to live a good life only to take life away from them.
Yeah.
So that's why I think he lives at the end. And also, I think when he the Green Knight kind of puts his finger under Gwen's neck and kind of gives that little pretend kind of nick on the neck. He goes, "Off with your head." I read that as that was his head getting decapitated.
Yeah.
Metaphorically.
And the Green Knight is very playful with his delivery of the lines and all that.
Yeah. But that's my interpretation of it all. Obviously, it's ambiguous for a reason. There's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
That's just my interpretation. It's a good film. Good film. Gives you a lot to think about, I think.
Yeah.
Now, I guess it gets into a little more vague territory with talking about other films we've seen, enjoyed this year. But I mean, you pick a film, I'll pick a film.
Yeah.
What was another film that you saw this year that you really enjoyed?
Really enjoyed Last Night in Soho, which we saw towards the end of the year together.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was my second view, yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so we got to go see that, and that was just a movie that I was really glad I got to see in theater. It was almost out of theaters. We got to go to this little theater up in east side of Portland.
The Academy Theater.
The Academy Theater. That's what I was having a hard time remembering its name.
Place, yeah.
Yeah, really, really neat. And it had the right vibe for that movie, too, where it's like this very small, kind of older theater. And if you've seen Last Night in Soho, there's some old school vibes within that movie in the 60s, right? 70s?
I think it's the 60s.
I think it's the 60s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you get it felt like the right setting for that kind of movie. And again, Edgar Wright is one of those directors that we borrowed from a lot in our early filmmaking career.
Yeah.
And so kind of it's always fun to watch his stuff and to check back in every now and again.
Yeah.
So, and again, it's a fun story, good characters. I spent like half of that movie just very stressed out for the main character, in a good way. Like the movie hit me right. So I don't have a whole lot of, again, like stuff. But Last Night in Soho was a very, very fun movie and definitely my flavor.
I think for me, what I like the most about it, I wouldn't put that on my personal top movies of the year, but it's a good movie, and I like the aesthetic of it the most.
Yeah.
That's what I like, the camera work, the music,
I love
visual flair.
The practicality of how they did a lot of the effects with the mirrors and such. I really enjoyed how they got both actors on set.
The sound design. So I pointed this out to you.
Yeah.
So when I saw this movie for the first time, I saw it at a different theater. And it's an older theater. We've talked about it in our See You Soon documentary, Regal Tiger 11.
Not old in like a historical theater, just old as in like a dated modern theater.
Yes. They haven't updated it since the 90s. I saw it there, and for the first half of the movie, the sound was only coming from the front of the thing. It was so from the front of the theater, and I was like, someone messed up with the sound design. I'm about to go complain because they like they screwed up the stereo mix.
Yeah.
Or I mean the surround sound mix. I was like, this is dumb. And then, obviously, as I went on through the movie, that changed, and then it became surround sound. What I found out later was there's a scene in the movie where the character it's transported to another time, and it does this big. The music swells, the camera revolves around her.
Yeah.
In that moment, everything before that in the movie, it was a mono single track coming from the front of the theater. Then once that happens, then the movie becomes surround sound.
Yeah.
So I really loved seeing it 2 times in the theater, because after I read that, seeing it again with you and like that was a great thing to notice.
Yeah.
That in the theater, not being like, oh my gosh, this crappy old theater, they couldn't update their speakers. It was like, oh, that was a cool artistic choice.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciate.
And I didn't even notice it.
I know.
I will next time, hopefully, if I ever watch it in surround sound.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I wonder how they would help that, like how you would transfer that to a Blu-ray physical release.
Yeah, no clue.
Yeah. I suppose if you had headphones.
Yeah.
Or if you actually had a surround sound set up in your theater, home theater.
Yeah. But good stuff.
Anyways.
Fun movie. Good time.
Yeah.
Great watch.
For me, I think, let's see, what's another one? I'm looking at my letterbox. I think one that I really liked is Raya and the Last Dragon.
Oh,
have you seen that one?
No, I haven't seen it. I watched very few movies this year.
Yeah.
Embarrassingly few.
Yeah. Raya and the Last Dragon, I mean, I love it because, I mean, again, I think it was just a fun, I mean, I don't know about you personally, I've found myself more connecting more with the Disney animated movies than the Pixar ones recently. Like, Raya and the Last Dragon hit for me a little bit closer to home, and a little bit, I connected with it more than any of the recent Pixar movies.
Like Soul or...
Soul, or I can't remember the other ones I've seen, but for whatever reason, because I used to be I would think of Pixar as the prime, quote unquote, prime animation studio, but Disney, they're just Disney, regular Disney animation. I thought Raya and the Last Dragon had some gorgeous animation. I loved the design of it. The action sequences were really cool too, and just a good message. And I think that's not always important, but I think that when you're making a movie for kids, there's a lot of cynical stuff out there, with kind of damaging messages, or maybe not so damaging, but like messages that are more nuanced.
Yeah.
And meant for adults.
Yeah. And
kids are seeing it and they're misinterpreting it and they're being affected by those messages and those films, and just because they don't have the like emotional intelligence to. So I think the fact that Raya and the Last Dragon had such a good message was a nice thing, because I mean it's for kids and just had a good theme of trust and what to do when someone wrongs you, or holding on to grudges, that kind of whole thing. I really loved that kind of message. I mean, I work with kids, so I kind of I get a hint of how these movies affect kids. Obviously not at a huge societal level, but I'm in there and I'm talking with them. I can see how movies affect them and media affects them and what they're seeing. So the fact that there was, Raya was, I mean, I just liked it a bunch. Like the message, the film behind it. Oh, and just the aesthetic too. A lot of times when you think of like Asian cinema or like Asian influenced things, you think of China or Japan usually. That's a joke with people like that. White people only know of China and Japan. They don't know other places. So the fact that a lot of it took inspiration from Southeast Asia, which is where my family's from, that was really cool. Like there's some words they use that I'm like, oh my gosh, I know that word, or like that I recognize that thing from like my family's culture and all that. So that was really cool to see that there was a Asian kind of influence on this movie, but it wasn't just China or Japan for the billionth time. It was like other countries, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
What's another movie for you?
Got to shout out one that was filmed in our area.
Oh yeah. Pig, yeah.
Nicolas Cage, an actor we've watched for a long time and enjoy. But it was cool. I think something we both agreed on was, well, we film in Portland a lot. We don't film in the city necessarily much, but we film in Portland because that's where we live. But it was really cool to see how another filmmaker from not around here shoots our city and how they edit it and how they kind of display it. And it's like, dang, Portland's cool.
Yeah.
And it's a spot that, we know so well that it's kind of boring to us. Not boring in a bad way, but just like we know all the things. We have a certain lens we view Portland through.
Yeah.
And to see someone come in and shoot the movie in a different way, that was really neat. But aside from that, though, Pig was a movie just going into, it set you up with certain expectations.
Yeah.
But the movie didn't actually do any of those things, and I appreciated it for that.
Yeah.
I think the way it sets itself up, it makes it this very like intense. You think it's going to go like almost this John Wick sort of way where Nicolas Cage is going to show up to whoop butt and absolutely demolish these people who harmed his pig.
Yeah.
But that's not what the movie becomes, and it becomes this very like cool, intimate story. It does a lot of really neat things. We agreed to do spoilery talk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's these two characters that are pitted against each other, Nicolas Cage and other guy who I'm forgetting, who's like the bad guy. But they're kind of like the same person in a way where they have this strong connection that they're able to bond through with their food. And there's all these really neat things. I had a friend of mine who talked to me about it for a bit. He had these great reads on it, and I need to see the movie again. That's my worst thing is all these movies I really enjoyed, for the most part, I only got to see once this year.
Yeah.
But just how these two characters kind of interact and how they meet together in this common place of like their appreciation of food. But yeah, it's just, again, a movie that it hits in a way you didn't expect, and it's just it's a vibe of a movie.
Yeah. No, it's a good movie. It's good drama, like good quiet kind of. I don't know if understated is the right word, but it feels like very understated. Just everything about it, like the way it's shot, the performances, really, really solid. Just filmmaking all around. Good like exploration of grief and loss. Yeah, I think very interesting. And always cool to recognize stuff in Portland. Yeah. I think another film that I really liked was In the Heights. Did you see that one?
I didn't get to see that, no.
That was a musical. Who directed it? John Chu. Who's like, he did Crazy Rich Asians, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think. Let me see on Letterboxd. Yeah, he did Crazy Rich Asians. But it's a musical about this neighborhood in, I think, New York. Shoot, I'm forgetting. I think it's East Side, East City. I'm pretty sure it's New York.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And I mean, I saw Hamilton, the like recording on Disney Plus or whatever. And I wasn't a huge fan of it. It didn't connect with me, purely because just musically it wasn't so much of what I was into. I'm sure if I was there in person, I would have appreciated it a whole lot more. Probably would have actually liked it a whole lot more if I saw it in person. But like for me, when I saw Hamilton, and maybe the fact that it was a filmed play, that just didn't connect with me.
Yeah, that's not my thing.
That's not my.
I want to go see a play if I'm going to see a play.
That's not my thing. So, In the Heights, though, it looked really good, and I knew it was the same guy who did the music, so Lin-Manuel Miranda. And I was like, well, I'll give it a shot because it looks cool. The music sounds really cool in the preview, and I'm so glad I did because, like, oh my gosh, like, I love the music, I love the sequences. There's some really good filmmaking stuff they do in it. Really fun movie. And again, like, seeing like Latin Americans on screen, like celebrating their culture, that's always a cool. I'm not Latin American, but like good for them.
Right on.
Good for them. Like good, like right on. That's cool.
Yeah.
You don't see. I couldn't tell you the last time I saw a musical about a bunch of like underrepresented Latino Americans in New York. Like it's the first time I've seen that. So I thought it was really well done. Really solid choreography and musical numbers. That was really good.
Solid movie.
I liked it a lot, and it's like, okay, now if I want to give Hamilton another shot. I want to like check out all like the other stuff from him. Which I mean, this is kind of he did Encanto, the music for Encanto, which I liked a lot too, but it which I think that'd be another pick of mine. I liked Encanto. Similar reasons, just like good music, good dances, good sequences, good animation, all that. Really fun.
Did I ever tell you that this year I almost got forced into shooting Hamilton as a movie?
What do you mean?
By some students I know. They are really so there's two people I know who are really obsessed with Hamilton.
Okay.
And they were like, we want to make a movie of Hamilton. Ethan, will you film it for free? And direct it?
It
was one of those things of like people who love this one thing, and it's like, well, Ethan makes movies. Yeah. We should just get him to do it.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, do you know how much work this is going to be? And they're like, well, you can just do it, right? I was like, no, I do not think I'm the man for you.
It's like a 4-hour play too, I think.
I've never seen Hamilton.
It's like 3.5 hours. Yeah.
I've been around Hamilton for maybe 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. It was on at my sister's. It was the recorded play thing. And I was getting a back massage the whole time, but like a face in the ground, mm-hmm. like kind of back massage, because I had this really bad back pain. Yeah. And so I heard it. I never even saw it. And I was like tuning it out half the time.
Yeah.
So I know nothing of Hamilton.
I think the right context to see that. I think we could both agree I think plays and films are completely different mediums, and mm-hmm. I don't think that just filming a play
I don't know.
That doesn't give you the real experience of going to the theater.
No, I would much rather be there.
So I think I would definitely, for sure, if I were to see Hamilton, I don't think I'd watch the recording. I'd want to see it in person.
Yeah.
Because again, then you go down, I think he's a great musician, great songwriter, really talented guy. And I probably would have dismissed him if I had just seen Hamilton, nothing else. Mm-hmm. But then I saw In the Heights, I was blown away. Then I go down the rabbit hole, it's he's done music for Moana.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did Moana. He did in Encanto, and it's oh my gosh,
How was Encanto?
Really good.
Okay.
Didn't you hear me?
Did you talk about it?
Yes, I did. Were you blacking out?
This is an awkward moment.
Oh my goodness. Well, Encanto was very good. I liked it. That would be another pick of mine.
Encanto's a movie I forget happened. Do you know what reminds me it happened the most? Huh. The TikTok videos right now, the McDonald's toy that can carry anything.
Yeah. Encanto is very good.
Terrible of me.
But I think that's a good lesson in give things a second chance. If you're not totally vibing with something, maybe see something else that filmmaker did, or mm-hmm. or give it another shot, because that's what I always like to see things twice before I give my final
That's been my preface whenever people talking about No Way Home. I haven't seen it twice yet.
Yeah. So I think with Hamilton, I need to give that another shot, because I did not connect with it. I didn't really vibe with it when I first saw it. Mm-hmm. Again, I think I should go to the theater. I should see a live performance. I should have the theater, or maybe just sit down and listen to the whole album. Maybe I'll connect with it then. But yeah. It's a good give things a second chance, because if I had just known that In the Heights was Hamilton, I might have skipped out, but it's one of my favorite movies of the year. So
yeah. Right on.
Anyways, did you say another movie? You said Pig.
I said what Pig. Let me look at my trusty little letterbox, which is kind of useless because I forget to log movies all the time. You know what? Let me throw a folk film on here that I saw. I saw Ramekin 2.
Oh, you stole mine.
I'm sorry, because I need to talk. I need to confess. Because the reason I like this movie so much is because when I watched the first Ramekin, this is not a diss, but I didn't connect with it well. So this goes great off of what you were talking about. I watched it and I enjoyed it, but I did not connect with it, I feel as well as I felt like I was supposed to. Mm-hmm. So when Ramekins 2 comes along, I watched it and I was expecting to, watch it out of support for my good friend, Cody. Mm-hmm. But I was blown away with how much more I enjoyed Ramekins 2. Now I need to go back and watch Ramekins 1 again. I feel like I can watch the series through. So
you've now, it's changed your perception of the first one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. And so now I need to go back and rewatch the first one again, because I was a lukewarm Ramekin fan. Mm-hmm. But then Ramekins made me be like, this movie is really cool. I really love what it's doing. I think it's really effective. And yeah, it made me realize oh shoot, I need to give Ramekin 1 another chance now.
See, I'm I don't want to say the opposite.
Yeah.
But like, I loved Ramekin.
I know you did.
The first one, and so the sequel that stepped things up a notch for me. So like, probably as much as you like the second one, I like the first one, and then the second one I like that like it's even like more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good movie.
So yeah, good job, Cody.
No, that's a really good one. It takes such I don't want to spoil this one, because I think if you haven't seen Ramekin or Ramekin 2, you need to just watch them back to back.
Yeah.
I think. And you need to not like whatever your perceptions are of what the sequel will be, like just forget about it, like, because they do something really cool.
Yeah.
They do something really cool with the sequel. And I was trying to guess like where it could go, like before I even saw the movie, because I was like, oh my gosh, how do you do a sequel? Like, how's it gonna go? The direction they took it was perfect. I loved it so much. Yeah, Ramekins 2 was really good. Going to back to Hollywood.
Yeah, I know where you're about to go. I think.
The Spice Melange.
Yep, you're going exactly where I thought.
Dune.
You had the craziest experience with this movie.
I've talked about it before. I won't say it. I will give a brief synopsis. When I first saw Dune, I was very, very tired. I was in the theater, and I would phase in and out of consciousness. And so what I did essentially was I would see the movie, but then fall asleep, but then wake up and not know that I had fallen asleep. So it felt like I was watching the most avant-garde, like crazy art film in the theater, because it was crazy.
Some of the visuals are straight out of a metal like music video too, so I can only imagine what you felt.
So I was very lost, but I liked it. I liked the vibes. Then I saw it again. I thought I saw a very different movie the first time, but I still really liked it. And I think Dune, I'm excited to see where it goes with the sequels.
Yeah.
It felt like seeing like the first Lord of the Rings in theaters.
Yeah.
A little bit, because I'm like, oh my gosh, this was so big, this is so sprawling, and I know there's more of it. I can't wait to see where it goes.
Yes.
Haven't read the book.
Nope, no idea.
I'm going to wait until after it's all out.
Same. Yeah, I'm bummed out because I want to know where it goes, and I own the VHS of like the sci-fi special. I want to watch the David Lynch one, but it's like, I have to wait now.
It was very good. I like it.
Very enjoyable, great visuals. I think it's a good blend of Hollywood, but like this director's vision and all these things. It's one of those movies where it's like all the pieces came together very well.
Yeah, it's like that's what you want a Hollywood movie
That's a blockbuster.
That's what you want it to be.
Yeah.
Not saying that's the only way it should be, but when we go, give a director with a vision a lot of money, let him do his thing.
Let him tell big stories well.
Exactly.
And this had all the right pieces, and they all clicked very well.
Because you couldn't tell Dune with the budget of
a paperclip and some
like we do
Subway sandwiches.
Yeah, we couldn't tell Dune, but
I mean, you could tell a version of Dune. Yes, that argument is there, but Dune as it is intended,
no.
I ain't touching that.
Yeah, so I liked it a lot. Denis Villeneuve, I think that's how you pronounce it. He's
well done.
A really talented guy. I like a lot of his movies.
Yeah. Excited to see what he does next.
Yeah, very good.
Good stuff.
What's next for you?
I forgot to log so many movies this year, so I don't remember what I've seen. Spider-Man No Way Home. Very recent. I enjoyed it a lot. We still haven't talked about it.
That's true. We
haven't talked about it at all. I haven't seen, and again, I haven't seen it twice. That's one of those movies where I knew going in it was going to play with my emotions in a way where I could not be objective. And it did that. But watching it, again, in my first opinions of it, if you haven't seen it and you care about it, and spoilers, you might want to skip ahead.
Too bad.
Just because, I mean, you should know by now.
Yeah.
But with the return of Andrew and Toby, amongst all the other villains as well, like, that's a big play. And we're both big fans of those movies. And it was kind of nerve-wracking. We knew what was going to happen. We both followed the leaks very close. You followed closer than I did, but I still, we talked about the leaks and we were kind of in the know. But it was one of those things where we were nervous because there's some parts of the Marvel stuff that doesn't work for us as well. Some of the humor isn't our taste. And so there was kind of that like edge of, is everything about the old movies that we love so much just going to kind of be a butt of a joke. And that's kind of where we were a little more nervous. But I felt like there was a lot of respect from the writers towards the original material, and a lot of respect of the Spider-Man and the villains, and it felt like a very like cool retrospective movie. Again, I don't know how well it falls as much as like a movie. It definitely felt like it was closer to that Endgame style, like more of an event movie than more of a like traditional blockbuster where the acts and stuff are supposed to line up this certain way or whatever. But needless to say, like I felt like it was a cool movie, and it made me walk away excited for where the Spider-Man story was going to continue from here. I think that was the thing that I was not expecting and was the most happy with. It's like, okay, Spider-Man from here actually could be really, really, really exciting. Yeah. And so I think that's what I left more excited than when I went into the theater. Yeah. Which was a cool thing to feel.
That's always a cool thing. I liked Willem Dafoe.
Yes.
He was so good in it.
Andrew Garfield also was like, it's been cool to see people, like, sorry, I'm cutting you off here.
No, go for it.
It's been really great to see people like online really praising Andrew, especially since he kind of got crapped on for some of his movies with a Spider-Man. People just weren't as excited about those movies. Yeah. And so it was cool to see people now being like, where's Spider-Man 3? Where's Amazing Spider-Man 3? When are we going to get more Andrew? And that's just nice, because I really love him. He's one of my favorite actors. So to see him getting the recognition.
He's great.
Phenomenal.
He's great in that movie, yeah. For me, Spider-Man, that's kind of what Scorsese, I think, talked about when he talked about like those event movies. It's kind of like going to a roller coaster kind of thing, a theme park. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because that's what it felt like in the theater. Like people are cheering, people are clapping.
I went to a really empty showing and people were doing that still.
Yeah, it was very like, both times when I saw it, there was cheering and clapping at certain moments. Except the first night, people applauded Daredevil. The second night, people did not applaud Daredevil.
Yes, yeah.
So, which is funny. But it was also great because on the first night, you could also tell that they were like nerds, and like they were they didn't spoil it necessarily for themselves, but like they were really like in on all like the nerdy stuff, like the meme reference. Yeah. The second night, there were people who like you could tell had no idea that they were going to be in it. Yeah. So you had the hardcore nerds on the first night who knew Tobey and Andrew would be in it. And then on the second night, general audiences who had no idea they were going to be in it, reacting for the first time.
That's incredible.
And the moment when Andrew Peter, he catches MJ, that got a big reaction on the second night.
Oh, cool.
I mean, in a different way than it was on the first night. Because on the first night, it was the fans going, yes, that's what should happen. That's what's going to happen. On the second night, it was like this cheers of like, oh my gosh, like them being blown away at the notion of him catching MJ. So
I love that scene.
Yeah, great scene. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I liked it a lot. I think those kind of event movies, I like small movies, independent movies. I like small YouTube movies. I like big event movies. I think they can coexist at the same time. I love them all. And I'm glad that, whereas Justice League, a big blockbuster, we had to watch that on HBO Max, obviously. Nothing wrong with that. I love my TV, but there's something nice about going to a theater and just having it be like a roller coaster, this big theme park ride. I like that kind of communal experience, which is fun, especially during like the pandemic when that kind of stuff just hasn't been happening so much. I've missed it, that experience. I'm going to give, I think, I think, because I've said all the Hollywood movies I've really thought of. So I think I want to focus on the YouTube films that I saw. Yeah. Oh, actually, real quick before, Get Back, the Beatles documentary.
I didn't see that. Yeah,
I know it's technically a series, but it's a Peter Jackson movie because it's like 6 hours long. Yeah, he makes long movies. Get Back was very good. If you're a Beatles fan, definitely check it out. Some really cool stuff in that. Some really cool candid stuff. anyways, moving to the YouTube side of things.
I mean, there's one big film that came out recently, I think, that we'll all want to talk about, which is Joel Haver's movie.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Drowning in Potential.
Drowning in Potential.
Very good. Joel always makes great stuff. It was really nice to see him kind of... It's been a while since he's made a movie, like a feature-length movie, it feels like.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to see, like, be reminded of why he's like, oh, the king of that style. Like, I don't even know what to call it other than Joel Haver style.
It felt like the most refined version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also incorporating other things like the old-timey movie.
I love that. It felt so... Again, it was like, if you need one thing to watch that's Joel Haver, like that fits it all in. That gives you a taste of everything. Because all of his shorts are kind of... They can go anywhere and do anything. But if you watch that, I think it gives you it's a sampler of like what is Joel Haver, because you have like the really intense dramatic stuff, you have the more humorous stuff, and you again have that stylized movie style.
Yeah, he's very, I mean, he's a buddy of ours, he's very talented, so we are biased, but like
super biased.
Hey, the numbers don't lie. He's got a lot of followers now, and he's very like, he's good at what he does, and it was so great to see him collaborate with another YouTuber on that. It was great to just, when your friend makes an awesome movie, it's like the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
Like maybe even better than when like you make an awesome movie. Because I don't think, for us, we can never really judge your own movies like accurately.
Yeah.
But when your friend makes a movie that's awesome, it's like...
You let them know.
I know that's awesome.
Yeah.
There's not this self-doubt. It's like, oh, I know that's awesome. That's really cool. So yeah, Drowning in Potential, very, very well done. Loved it a lot. I've been wanting to rewatch it. Like I've been wanting to binge.
I was gonna say, I want to do like a Joel Haver day.
I wanted to watch Island and Pretend That You Love Me, Drowning in Potential. I wanted to watch those back to back because those are my three favorite.
That would be a really fun
Yeah.
movie day.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Good job, Joel.
Good job, Joel.
If you're actually listening to this, I don't think you are, but
yeah.
If you are, awesome job. We loved it.
And a pat on the back from our podcast team.
Yeah, yeah. Two movies that we've already talked about this year. Made from some people we interviewed. The Last Day of Childhood by Merdula Chibur and Not Now by Ethan Stevens.
Yes.
Very good. We have interviews with those two filmmakers
on
separately
our YouTube
channel.
Check them out.
I don't think we need to dive too much into like that because we talk about that in the interview. But Merdula, I mean, he's such a great editor, and that movie is driven by editing in this kind of real. He's got this really strong grasp of what movies are and the language of cinema and editing, and he does some really interesting things. And Ethan Stevens, he is this great director, getting these great performances from the actors, and great at just kind of his script writing and the way his story flows. And
he's got a very clear vision and executes very well and knows how to get what he's looking for.
I don't want to sound egotistical at all, but I think a great double feature would be Video Carnage and Not Now.
Yes.
I think we have a lot of similarities, our styles, with the lighting anyways. Maybe not so much the writing or some of the other stuff, but the cinematography. He's got such this great attention to detail with the cinematography.
There's some beautiful shots in that movie that I want to try and steal those.
Yeah, yeah. So I think Ethan Stevens is his Not Now. That would make a great, like, I want to see Video Carnage in that, like, put them on both on VHS.
Double feature,
just
$5 Target special.
Yes. I want to watch. I think those would, for whatever reason, I think they would pair well together.
Yeah. That's a fun thing. Starting to put together folk filmmaker pairings.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun little thing.
I think so, yeah.
If someone hasn't already done that, someone should do that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
If you don't, we will. Maybe. We might forget.
Speaking of pairings, this is not 2021. I think it was 2020.
Yeah.
Not So Amazing, RC Films.
Yes.
They made a great superhero movie. Spider-Man fan film.
Yeah.
That movie would pair really well with the recent 2020 release, or 2021 release, Void Man.
I haven't watched Void Man yet.
I loved Void Man. It was so well done.
2 long movies.
two long movies, but two very similar subject matter, I think.
Nice.
I think those movies would go really well together. I think the opening, maybe was it 20 or 30 minutes of Void Man, just absolutely insane, the amount of talent that Mohat showed. I believe it's Mohat. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. Just the way everything is edited, the camera movement, the shots, the way it's cut together, the pacing of it all. It was like a shot to the heart. Like it was shot like right into your veins. It was like, oh my gosh, wow, this guy is really good at making movies. It felt like, I don't know, like you could immediately see the amount of skill this guy has.
Challenger has entered the field.
I think it's his second movie, if I remember correctly. Let me go on Letterboxd just to double check this. I think because his last one was a soap opera.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a soap opera.
It's been in my playlist of like to watch for such a long time.
But it is now like up at the top of my watch list because of Void Man, and I cannot wait to see what Mohat will do next, because hopefully with every movie you make as a filmmaker, you get a little bit better.
Yeah.
And if that's where Void Man is, if that's where Mohat is starting, like that's a base level, like oh my gosh, you can only go up from there.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be insane. Like it's gonna be like
we're all retiring now, so we can just watch.
I think I have this theory that like the Australians, Merdul and Moat, like they're on another level. They're feeding them something different. The water's different over there. They're like
the spiders are different down there.
They are gonna be so the amount of movies, or like the quality of movies that they're making over there. Like it's gonna be crazy. Like how much, just like. They're thinking that they're doing stuff differently, and it's awesome, and it's amazing, and I love it.
Yeah. No, Void Man, I'm going to try and watch it this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and make time.
It's very, very good. I loved it. Super fun.
It's just been cool. I mean, again, like, folk filmmaking blew up last year. Yeah. It's doing its thing. It's going crazy. And it's just been so great to see all these, like, hit after hit coming out from people.
Yeah.
And it's all so different, so unique. Everyone has their voices getting honed in this craft, and it's just been cool, like in the in-between moments when we're not working on stuff or we have a break, just to kind of see that this cult, like this movement or whatever, is gonna create something so unique and special. So it's been great to see, and it's been great to just be in some part of it. Yeah, it's just so cool. I would hate to not mention Not in the Web.
Oh, I was just going to say. I was going to say that too, yeah.
Not in the Web. That was a movie that was sent out to us by, what were they called again?
Tora Films.
Tora Films. Josh, the director of it. That's a really, really fun 50-minute film. It's a nice, quick one.
Love the aesthetic of that one.
Great 80s vibe. Really takes advantage of the dreamlike quality. The main character has narcolepsy in that movie, and he's also like kind of training for a new job at this like 80s tech company. Very, very, I mean, again, it's the style of it and all the pieces are just so well meshed.
It's a movie Hollywood could never make and would never make, and I'm so glad that YouTube provides a space for that kind of filmmaking to exist.
Yeah.
Because it's just so good.
Yeah.
Like, it was so good. I watched it over winter break, and that was a movie that I had no expectations going into it.
Same.
I had no expectations, and immediately I was hooked.
Yeah.
From beginning to end, I loved it.
Yeah. And it's improv.
Was it improv?
It's improv. I believe it's improv. We were chatting, me and Josh were chatting, but it was either improv or he like, I'm pretty sure it was improv. I'll need to double check. I'm 90% sure it was.
If that was what it was, like how you can make a movie improv, my gosh. Oh my gosh. That puts us to shame, I think.
Yeah, I think he just was like making it.
That's
like
incredible.
He just was like, I'm just going to make this movie. And just did it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Good filmmaking.
Good filmmaking.
Yeah.
We're checking out. Regardless if I'm totally wrong on that and it wasn't. If I'm wrong on that, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Still an incredible movie regardless.
Amazing movie. Yeah. Really enjoyed it. Worth checking out.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we spent a good time talking about Hollywood movies, but I mean, and we've also talked about YouTube movies a whole bunch. I don't want people to think that like we're pro one or anti the other.
We love movies.
We love all movies, no matter where they come from, no matter who makes them. Well, I mean,
if you're a horrible person,
if you're
absolutely being the worst to your crew,
if you had to like kill someone to get your movie made, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
that's not it.
Ain't about it.
But like okay, prejudice aside, like we don't have prejudice against like.
If you make a good movie, you make a good movie.
Yeah.
And yeah. That's pretty much it. As long as you're not a bad person.
We love all movies. We don't have anything against certain genres or, budgets or scale. Like, we just want to be entertained by movies. We want to think about the world in a new way. We want to look at the world in a new way. We want to see your point of view. And if you don't, get out there, if you're someone who's like on the fence of like, oh, geez, I can never do in Hollywood, or, I can't do what they do, there's a space for you on YouTube. And if YouTube's too small to you, like, oh my gosh, the movies are so small scale, then stop complaining. Go out there and get in the industry and like do it.
Yeah.
Like, because, find a budget, find a size, find a scale that works for you, regardless, and just create something and just make something. Because when you don't, the whole world misses out. Like, we miss out because you could have my favorite film of all time. One of you out there could have that in you right now.
Yeah.
And if you don't try to pursue it, I am missing out. And I will find you, and I will kill you. No,
you got to do this for us.
Yeah. Selfishly, I want every movie I see to be an amazing movie, a good movie. Because it's no fun to, see a movie and you don't enjoy it or hate it or whatever.
Yeah.
I just love good movies, regardless of where they come from. And I want more people to make movies. And we're at this beautiful time when things are more accessible. And there's nothing wrong with Hollywood filmmaking. And nothing wrong with YouTube filmmaking, like those movies.
It's just more voices are able to produce their films on both sides. And it's
wonderful.
That's great. We all win from that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably a good place for us to call it good. Right there.
We'll step down from the soapbox a little bit here.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for listening, everyone. Again, if this is your first time listening, consider hitting that subscribe button. Consider hitting that like button. Follow our YouTube channel for videos on films and filmmaking and to stay up to date with our feature films. And we will see you on the next episode of our podcast.